Would you do me a favor? Go to the back and tell me how much of me actually shows without a stool. Because I may have to put the stool together. Okay, I think I'm gonna, thank you. They took the stool away, so that settles that.
Let me see if it's in here. Hopefully.
Well, I think it'll be fine without it. I think I'll do it.
It's not in here.
Right. I'll do it.
I didn't move it.
Yeah, we got it.
Who is it?
Allison's gonna do it. It's supposed to be Ivy, she's not here. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley. My name is Reverend Kiya. My pronouns are she, they, and we're so glad you're with us this morning to talk about Taoism and shared leadership and other things of which you might have an interest. Awesome. We're going to start out by singing all out of the teal hymnal today. So if you can grab a teal hymnal, you'll be in good shape. Do we need some more? We're singing number 1009. When I breathe in, it's the meditation on breathing. You may already know it. You might see people in their Love and Joy shirts this morning because the choir is helping do all the music today. And we're going to start out by having the choir go, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Try that. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Now you got 3 choices of parts, so pick a part. If you want to sing, if your voice is lower, you might want to sing with me and sing, when I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. If you can't remember words of the song and you have a lower voice, you might want to just breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe. And the sopranos. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley, or if you prefer acronyms, UUCBV, or if you like to mix the two, Brazos UU for short. My name is Carolyn Clark, and it's my privilege to be your worship assistant this morning. We are a welcoming congregation, which means we celebrate and welcome all people across diversities of race, gender, sexual identities, age, ability, immigration status, and belief. We are also a congregation working for reproductive justice. So whoever you are, wherever you have come from, or wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here.
Our call to worship this morning comes from Stephen Russell, who wrote The Barefoot Doctor's Guide to the Tao, a spiritual handbook for the urban warrior. And he writes, vulnerability is the only authentic state. Being vulnerable means being open for wounding, but also for pleasure. Being open to the wounds of life means also being open to the bounty and beauty. Don't mask or deny your vulnerability. It is your greatest asset. Be vulnerable. Quake, shake in your boots with it. The new goodness that is coming to you in the form of people, situations, and things can only come to you when you are vulnerable. Be open.
It's time for lighting the chalice. Do we have a child who's going to volunteer for this? Here we go. Please say our chalice lighting words with me as Haley lights the candle. We light the chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, as a beacon of hope for all who seek justice, dignity, and compassion, and in celebration of the life of truth and meaning we share together. And then our affirmation statement. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, all together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
So, there are some things that we do as Unitarian Universalists that are going to be strange to those of y'all who are new. And those of y'all who are new, welcome. We're weird. We love you. Thank you for coming. Okay. What we do is we believe as Unitarian Universalists that there's a spark of the divine in every person and every being that's alive in the whole entire universe. And this is your opportunity to say howdy to the other divine sparks in the room. Now, if you're really shy and you hate to touch people and you don't want anyone looking at you, hold your arms like this and nobody will bother you. But otherwise, I will let you know when it's over. Have at it. I'm going to present Kat from the Board of Trustees to present a Jesse Coons Award.
Good morning, everybody. So this is the second Jesse Coon Award after the board meeting last week. Actually speaking to the mic, this amazing person is somebody who has helped grow this church in so many different ways over the past year, being a leader who has stepped up time and time again. They have an amazing family with super awesome kids who love to run around this church. And they have led workshops over the last year. They have led cafes of a repair and mending variety and are here every Tuesday night mending and sewing and crocheting and doing all of those fiber arts things, meetings every month. They have been a huge reason why we have seen so much growth this year, not just in our congregation as Brazos UU, but within the larger Brazos Valley, some of the great work we've been able to do. Their whole family has become a staple of this amazing community that we call home. And then I wrote something about last week, but it doesn't apply now. So it is my honor to recognize Sarah Farrar for the second Jesse B. Kuhn Award.
Good morning. Congratulations to Sarah. I will tell you, I just went speech and she was like, no. So that's what I'm laughing about as I come up here. So my name is Allison, by the way. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm the Director of Religious Education here at Brazos UU. Before I get to our story for today, I do have a little pitch to make. Sometimes I make what I call the hard sell, and this is one of those times. So our last program day for the RE year is today, and then we move into our summer program. And what we need from this room are some adult volunteers for the summer program. So if you have volunteered during the year, it's a little bit different. It's not as content heavy. We are playing a lot of games. It's all ages. It's all about community building. So if you are more of like a camp person, you know, like camp games, or you're like an arts and crafts person, but you don't want to have to explain, I don't know. Theology. Thank you. Throw in a hard word. There you go. This is the time for you to shine. If you can sign up for one Sunday, that is awesome. If you cannot, I still love you, but this is one of the times I have to make my hard pitch. So, and I hate doing it, I really do, but that's okay. If you need to have a background check done in order to volunteer, just find me. It's very easy. I just email you a link and you fill it out, and we check mainly for offenses against children and families. So that is it. That's all you need to volunteer. So I hope you all consider it. We are going on a map to deeper joy. That is what the theme is. You can dress like a pirate if you want, but you don't have to. All right. Today, I have a very, 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 very old story. I mean, it is from a text that's called the Huannanzi, and it was written before 139 BCE. Whoa. That's why there were so many varies there. There's many titles to this, including The Old Man Lost His Horse, but it all turned out for the best. And that's my favorite title, so that's the one I went with. And you have one part during this story. When I point at you, you're gonna be the farmer, and you're gonna say the word maybe. Okay, let's practice. Blah, 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 blah. All right. There once was a farmer in ancient China who owned a horse. You are so lucky, his neighbors told him, to have a horse to pull the cart for you. The farmer replied. One day, he didn't latch the gate properly and the horse ran away. Oh no, that's terrible news, his neighbors cried. Such bad luck. Maybe. The farmer replied. A few days later, the horse returned, bringing with it 6 wild horses. How fantastic. You are so lucky, his neighbors told him. The following week, the farmer's son was breaking in one of the wild horses when it threw him on the ground, breaking his leg. "Oh no," the neighbors cried, "that's such bad luck all over again." The next day, soldiers came and took away all the young men to fight in the army. The farmer's son was left behind. "You are so lucky," his neighbors cried. When we interpret a situation as an opportunity or a disaster, it shapes the way we respond. But this farmer shows that we can never truly know how a situation is going to turn out. There is no intrinsic opportunities or threats. There is only what happens and how we choose to respond. In which case, doesn't it make sense to look for the opportunities in every situation? Maybe. All right, thank you for being a part of my story today. Maybe. And now I invite all of the younger UUs with me off to children's religious education, and will you all please sing us out with This Little Light of Mine?
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. And now if you'll look in the teal hymnal to number 100. Yeah, go ahead. I'm drumming. I'm not playing guitar. You want me to play guitar? I'm playing drums. One, two, ready, go. Where do we come from? Where are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. How about a hand for the band today? Ken, Andrew, Elliot. It's getting good, y'all. Today, I am jumping into the ancient, flowing, peaceful philosophy of Taoism. Taoism is rooted in ancient China and kind of grew out of the animal worship and the ancestor worship and the shamanic traditions that were still practiced in China and are still being practiced in many parts of China. I find it to be a path that speaks to me and guides many of my decisions and path to leadership. I think it has a great deal to offer us in these chaotic and challenging times. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm the wisdom found in many sources, voices of prophetic men and women, the teaching of world religions, our direct experience of mystery and wonder. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle. Yeah. Taoism speaks to us from all three. So what is the Tao? The Tao is often translated as the way or the path. But what is this way? The Tao cannot be truly described. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao, quote unquote. That's from the I Ching. It is the way of nature, of life unfolding in its own time, in its own rhythm. It is the harmony underlying all things. In Taoism, the goal is not to conquer or control, but to align with the natural flow of life. So like if we got some baby noises, that is groovy. That is part of our sound, right? It is the sound. It's beautiful. The goal is not to conquer or control, but to align with the natural flow of life. It invites us to observe, listen, and act only when action arrives naturally. As the Tao Te Ching says, do your work, then step back, the only path to serenity. So, there's like 4 books that if you really want to get a handle on Taoism, I would recommend right off. They're very ancient. The first one is attributed to Lao Tse, and it's a 6th century BCE if he was a living being, which we're not sure. It's a short text of 81 chapters composed in a poetic style. It outlines the philosophy of Taoism, emphasizing simplicity, humility, and non-action, which the Chinese call Wu Wei, and the harmony with the Tao. You all may have thrown the I Ching. Anybody thrown pennies or done any of that? Okay, that's the book we're talking about. This is the foundational text of the philosophical Taoism, and is widely translated and studied in every language. Stephen Mitchell probably has one of the best English translating comes out of them. Okay. Well, these stories come back to this book. It expands on ideas of the Tao Te Ching with humor. It's very funny if you get Chinese jokes. It's got a lot of allegory and paradox. It promotes spontaneity, skepticism about rigid distinctions, and acceptance of change. So it's pretty much second in importance to the Tao Te Ching. It's key to understanding Taoism thought on nature, death, and on freedom. So politically, Taoism is sort of like the antithesis of Confucianism. So a lot of people who were very good Taoist leaders would back up and maybe not have anything to do with politics whatsoever. But if they did have something to do with politics, you're not ever supposed to see them working. Anyway, does that make sense? Sort of. It will. She says, hopefully. Attributed to Li Zhu, possibly a legendary figure, this text as we have it likely dates from the 3rd century CE, and it contains philosophical discussions, fables, and parables like the story about the maybe. While less influential than the Tao Te Ching and the Zhuangzi, it explores similar themes in a more accessible narrative style. And all these are in really good English translations. So, there you go. So, Stephen Mitchell translation from the chapter 8 of the Tao Te Ching, he said, "The supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It is content with the low places that people disdain. Thus, it is like the Tao," and probably helped Garth Brooks write I got friends in low places. Okay. Now, all these translations are well and good, but truthfully, most of what I understand about the Tao, I learned from Winnie the Pooh. Author Benjamin Hoff, in his book, The Tao of Pooh, shows how Pooh is the clearest example of the major Taoist principle, the principle of Wu Wei. And he's a songwriter. So things in their original simplicity contain their utmost power. The uncarved block is an image that they often use to describe this. So you got me? So you and your authenticity and your true self, the one that feels most comfortable to you, that is your strongest. That's where your power lies. As Pooh says in Hoff's book, things just happen in the right way at the right time, at least when you let them, if you let them. Winnie the Pooh is not your typical spiritual guide. He doesn't meditate on mountaintops. He doesn't fast or write theological treatises, but in the simplicity of his life, his love of honey, his quiet loyalty to friends, his ability to simply be, Pooh offers something many of us long for: presence, peace, and a deep trust in life. So, central to this Taoist teaching is Wu Wei, or non-doing. But this is not laziness, it's the art of not forcing. A musician in flow. You know, when you're in the flow and time slows down, if you're playing sports or you're playing music or you're doing something you really love, if you're in fiber arts and you just forget you're doing it, that's the flow. As Unitarian Universalists, we often feel called to act, to seek justice, truth, and community. Taoism does not contradict this. Rather, it teaches us to act in harmony with life, with humility and attentiveness, not from ego or urgency alone. How often do we exhaust ourselves trying to fix, change, or control things? What would it look like to trust the process a little more? Our challenge here at UUCBV is we are a group of strong leaders. Now that's a gift, but it also means we have to learn new ways of leading together. I mean, how many of you all will admit that you're kind of like in control of your universe? Oh, come on. I know you. So collective leadership is not passive, it's power in repose. It listens more than it speaks, invites more than it commands, guides by example rather than by decree, whether in ministry, activism, business, or family. This kind of leadership creates space where others can grow. This is a deep and timely question, especially for spiritual activists and creative communities, where people are deeply capable, that's y'all, passionate, and independent. Building a community of shared leadership where everyone is used to being the one in charge requires a shift of culture, not just structure. We need to frame collective leadership as a new spiritual and relational practice we're growing into. Shared power, shared leadership, shared ministry. So there's a lot of methods for that we can go into and look into, and you might be interested in some of these. I'm just going to whip through them here. But Sociocracy, Holacracy, structured shared governance, liberating structures like participatory meeting formats, the circle process where you equalize group dialogue, and consensus or consent-based decision-making. So Taoism addresses these issues very well. There we go. A leader is best, Lao Tzu says in the Tao Te Ching, a leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, they will say, we did it ourselves. Another core Taoist value is simplicity. Now, simplicity, not austerity, but is clarity. Lao Tzu writes, I have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. Let me say that again, because it works no matter what century we're talking about. Simplicity, patience, compassion. Taoism invites us to live lightly upon the earth, gently with others, and spaciously within ourselves. Taoism asks us to listen more deeply, to live with a little more grace. In a world often frantic with motion, Taoism reminds us that stillness, too, is sacred. So in the Tao Te Ching, chapter 76, it says, translation, "Let us be water, nourishing, flexible, and quietly powerful." Our third UU principle calls us to accept one another and encourage spiritual growth. Pooh doesn't try to change anyone. He accepts Eeyore's gloominess, Piglet's timidity, Rabbit's busyness, and Tigger's exuberance. The wonderful thing about Tiggers. He does not preach, he listens. He does not demand, he invites. His way is soft, but never weak. How often do we try to fix, manage, or improve others instead of meeting them where they are? Pooh reminds us that spiritual growth is not always about striving. It is sometimes about stillness and presence and love without condition. In our culture of constant improvement, even in our spiritual lives, we can be like Rabbit, always organizing, always managing, always trying to get it right, or like Owl, caught up in the importance of knowing. But Pooh, he just is. Now, UU theologian Forrest Church once said, "The purpose of life is to live in such a way that our lives will prove worth dying for." That might sound heavy for a bear who mostly thinks about honey, but Pooh reminds us that a worthy life is made of small acts, walking with a friend, noticing the clouds, being kind. In the interconnected web of life, our seventh principle, even a simple bear matters. Each one of us, like each creature in the 100-acre wood, plays a part. No voice is too small, no presence too simple. This too is sacred. Let us, in our Unitarian Universalist living, take a cue from Pooh. Trust more, try a little less, accept more deeply, and always, always take time for something sweet. Make sure every person feels seen, not just for what they do, but for who they are. To build a community of shared leadership is to practice faith in each other again and again. It is to say, I trust that we are wiser together. I am willing to lead, and I'm also willing to follow. May it be so. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be.
Now let an offering be taken to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. This church shares the proceeds of the offering plate donation every week to help support nonprofit organizations with whom we work. The 4 groups we voted to support with this year's donation are Brazos Valley Blessings, Brazos Interfaith Immigration Network, the Trans Joy Project, and Tiny Hope Village. We vote on this every May at our congregational meeting. Please be as generous as you can. We give thanks for these gifts we have given, for those we receive, and we give thanks for each other. May your generosity return to you tenfold. And now it's time for announcements. Meg, there are 6. I counted. The first, you saw our Love and Joy Choir. Our rehearsals are now every Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. We welcome new members. The latest music is up at www.kiyahartwood.com. Just click on the Love and Joy page. And an announcement about work, collective work. Come out on Tuesday evening and help us transform our pile of wood chips. If you parked further down, you notice this little mountain of wood chips. That's what this is about, right, Liz? Okay. We want to transform our pile into a longer walking path. We will get started around 7. Earlier is also fine. This is 7 p.m. We are hoping to get a bunch of folks to help so that we can make quick work of a big job. Bring a wheelbarrow if you have one, and a pitchfork or bucket for loading. Don't forget your gloves. If you don't have any of that stuff and want to help, we will have tools and gloves to share. And something new, get your photo made for the membership directory today after service, or if you think you'll be more beautiful, on June 1st, you can do it then, or on June 8th. Please see Kiya or Allison to get your picture taken. Our first book club meeting for Written in the Waters will be on June 8th after the service. And if you wonder how quickly June 8th is coming, prepare for a shock when you look at your calendar. Let's see, that's not it. Okay. If you would like help in getting a copy of the book, please let Reverend Kiya or Allison know. The final Unitarian Universalist Women's Federation meeting for this church year will be June 1st at 12:30 p.m. at Mary Ellen Pate's house. Mary Ellen, thank you in advance for volunteering to host this event. This will be both a business and a social meeting, and if you have any interest in the UUWF at all, you're welcome to come. And number 6 is a call for recipes. Please email the famous Sarah Farrar to submit your recipes by June 13th for the 2025 Church Cookbook.
Carolyn,
Okay.
do you know what next Sunday is?
No, I don't. Kiya, what is next Sunday?
Next Sunday is our Pride service, and I'm preaching on putting the T back in, and you can find out what that means next week. But it requires that people show up in their most fabulous. Now, you don't have to be gay, you don't have to be trans, you don't have to be anything. You can come however you want, but be your most fierce and fabulous self next week. I hear that some people will be showing up in a pink feather boa. I'm not saying who. But anyway, that's next week, and we would love for you all to come, and of course you can have your picture made that way too, if you like.
Now there's a thought. That was announcement number 7, which makes it the luckiest of announcements. Finally, we will extinguish the chalice, which has already happened, but let's say the words anyway. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we gather together again.
Please sing with me if you choose to. Remember the way of the wind and breathe and blow. Remember the way of the fire and sparkle and glitter and glow. Remember the way of the water and ebb and flow. Remember the way of the earth and grow. Go in peace.